Shave myself and cut myself. Here we are for another live Sunday night live bomb run. And I hope that everybody's doing well. I know Dan Pancaldi had it wasn't a snowstorm, it was like an ice storm. Man, well, I don't feel that bad here. We just have water. So Dan, I hope that you're okay. I saw that No Enemies Here came out today. So hope you're doing great. So here we are. And let's see, we got a number of people here. We have Riff, we have XXEHCXX, we have DD Lord, Bendover, I like that one, Groucho Marx, Daniel Silverthorne, Von Holdinghausen, Rob Moffitt, Ed Thelenius. We have Alan Salazar. Welcome, Alan. No, you're not late. We just started. We have Rob Moffitt. And we have Joe, my namesake from Canton, Ohio. So welcome, everybody. Today, we have a bomb run dedicated to just one game, and it's this game. It's the Russian Campaign 5th edition. This is a classic. This is a well-deserved physical upgrade, and also this package collects all the optional rules that developed throughout the years, some which were incorporated into the game, into the regular game. We have also Commander Ripster. Happy Easter. Yes. David Sandberg from Minnesota. And Brian Habel from Australia. Wow. Fernando Terrania. Good evening. Good evening, everybody. So this incorporates the optional rules, makes some of them part of the game, like the Russian Sturmoviks. It also increases the size of the pieces on the map, because this is a 2-map game now. It's because the counters are now 5/8 of an inch. So we'll take a look briefly at the components, but we were going to try to play at least one turn. And we have also Carlos Videira Santos, Portugal. You love Portugal. We have David from North Carolina. We have Glenn Sweet and Riff. Riff, you were the first one. Okay. So, we got Francisco Javier Ruiz Gomez, my right-hand man at the Bellota Con. Good night. And we have David Sandberg. Yeah, I think okay, so it upgrades the components 5/8 of an inch, and you have obviously a lot of improvements done, color coding, all that sort of stuff. Now, in this game, if you want to see how the actual components look like, let's take a quick look at the components. I have here a presentation that I made before I punched out the components. So this is the rules booklet. It is fully in color. A lot of examples. The rule book, the original rule book of this game is about 10 pages long, but it had practically no examples at all. So that was improved here. This rule book, as you see, has a lot of examples. So the pages now go up to like 20, but it's basically the same game that was published with very few additions. John Halley. We have Gravik AC, Nebraska is here. Okay, so as you can see here, it's a lot of examples, which is always good. And you see this particular example. It has the options. Here you have an option flow chart because the options started to develop and they're all now interrelated. You can start this game like 2 months before. Instead of invading in summer, the Germans can invade in springtime. And you'll see that in the turn record track. So here you have the counter sheet unpunched. And this counter sheet brings armored units in NATO symbols like the original game, but it improved the color sheets. If you remember the original Avalon Hill game, the Russians were yellow. I mean, who associates yellow with the Soviets in World War II? Nobody. So now this one uses tones of brown, but it uses different tones of brown. The darker brown tones are the units that cannot move in the second impulse because this is a double impulse game. The lighter brown units are the ones that can move in the second impulse. Now, those tones, the original game had a darker yellow and a lighter yellow also, but now we have red guard units, and these all these units in this game. This is a game that I say does a lot with very little. All the units are one-sided. So if you lose, if a unit is flipped, it's destroyed. So here you have the back parts of the units that have the information of the game turn when they enter their reinforcements and the unit ID. Here we have the Axis forces, and what changed here basically is that the Axis miners now are in different colors. You got the Finns in teal, you have the Hungarians in a bright green, you have the Romanians in a darker green. So that was improved also. And the worker units, which you see there, were changed to orange, which is good because you have to add the worker values each turn to see how many replacements the Russians get. So you have to easily locate them on the map, and if they're orange, it's easier to do so. So here we see the back part of that sheet. Then you have a third sheet, which incorporates optional units, also markers. You have some odds markers, which we will be using in the combat situations that also facilitate play. And here you have a close-up. So you have a choice here. You can use the original NATO armored units, which you recognize there, or you can use the silhouettes. I'm going to use in the example the original NATO counters, but you can substitute the silhouettes if you want. Here we see for the Germans some silhouettes also, and you see the colors used. We see the markers up close. And there are some play rates. You have the weather chart. Weather is very important in this game. It is variable in many turns. So that makes the game replayable. You never know if you're going to get snow early on or not. And this game incorporated something different that the original game didn't have, which is the weather die roll modifier track. So if you roll a specific weather, there's going to be a die roll modifier, which you apply to the next turn. And the die roll modifier, what it's intended to do is to eliminate those instances of weather, which was just where you're rolling and getting these extreme weather results. So it tends to normalize weather and not make it like a decisive factor in the game. So here we have the Axis Order of Battle card. It's a large card, and it's full color. Here you see the part for the starting Axis forces. And here you see the part for the reinforcements, withdrawals. There's some special situations like the Bulgarian garrison that shows up if Russian units approximate, I believe, a specific area on the map. The same thing for the Warsaw garrison. And here we see the Russian Order of Battle. You have the starting forces, and then you have the reinforcements. Notice also that the partisans, and you can see them, are in like a light yellow. So that's important also because you want to be able to locate the partisans where they are. The partisans basically interrupt rail lines and create supply problems for the Germans. And you have also something that we didn't have in the original game. And when I say the original game, I mean, I'm referring to the Avalon Hill version, even though the Avalon Hill version wasn't really the original game. It was at Jedco in Australia. But none of the original Jedco Avalon Hill versions had these setup cards for the other scenarios in the game. It had it for the basic scenario when you start in 1941. But here you have full blau, so you can start in 1942. And here we have a closer view. Very well done. I always like to use these player aids to set up the game. Facilitates everything. Here we have Bagration, 1944. I think there's a Kursk one, a 1943 scenario also. And then here we have two identical player aid cards. Has the combat results table, but the combat results table is also printed on the map. The movement allowance chart, which is critical in this game. This is a double impulse game. And in the back, you have the terrain effects chart and the summaries of movement in the Black Sea and also in the Baltic Sea, in addition to the air power availability chart. And this little overlay, you can place it on the map, and then it creates 3 clear hexes where there are 3 mountain hexes, and that's optional. And of course, 1d6. So here we have, the game includes 2 paper maps. And I want to thank John Kranz for sending me the game and also sending me the mounted map boards. You can pay extra and get the mounted map boards, and they lay flat very well. They're very well done. And there are 2, so you're going to see them now. I'll be showing, let's switch to the camera here. And let's switch back to the, see if I can get my pointer to point. Okay, let's see. Okay, now. Okay, we're back here with the camera. So here you have the game set up. And my table is 58 by 30. So I had to place it on a magnetic board, and you have the perspective of the axis forces. If you're playing the axis forces, this is the edge of the map where you will be sitting. I've already set up the game, and we're going to play a turn. Let's talk briefly about the victory conditions so you know what the players are playing for. And before we do that, we also have Michael Ranella with us. And you like the overlay. Yeah, I always thought there was too much mountainous terrain there also. And I always find that the Germans have a hard time advancing into Ukraine that first turn, which I think that the absence of those 3 mountains hexes there helps a more historical result. Okay, but before we continue, let's first, we're going to have a giveaway today, 2 games. And let me play the video that shows the contest rules, and then we'll show the game that we will be raffling and the keywords, so that all of you who are interested in qualifying. Participation is limited only to individuals in the United States and Puerto Rico. To participate, write the keyword shown during the live broadcast in the comments section. 1 winner per prize will be selected randomly during the broadcast. And within 24 hours, the winner must send an email to stukajoe@gmail.com stating the winner's YouTube handle and shipping address. An email with a verification code will be sent to the winner, and the winner must enter the verification code in the comments section of the giveaway video. And upon winner confirmation, the prize will be mailed to the winner's address. Okay, so we're here, and the game that we will be giving out today, our first giveaway, is going to be this one, Wing Leader Victories 1940 to 1942, designed by Lee Brimicombe Wood, published, I think, in 2019. And the keyword is #wing, #wing. And as I always say, if you have the game, be a good sport, let somebody else have it. If you're not interested in the game, the same thing. And this is a game that has a follow-up game that we will also be giving in a future live bomb run, which is the Supremacy. So this is the one that starts it all. And if you're interested, it's #win. #win. So let's put it aside for now, and I'll leave the ticker down the bottom so that you can all participate. So this is the situation at the beginning of the game. The game is won by two ways here. There's a campaign victory condition. The Axis player wins immediately by controlling Moscow, which you see there, and eliminating the Stalin piece. Now, the Stalin piece has a movement allowance of 0. You can see it there, but it can move by rail. So I guess a Russian player can start moving Stalin away, but I mean, if the Germans have made it to Moscow, they may be able to maybe surround Stalin. Who knows? Now, another way of the Axis player winning is if the Russian player does not control Berlin, and here we see Berlin, at the end of the May-June 1945 turn. That's turn number 25. There's another way that the Axis player immediately wins, and that is if the Russian player does not match units exited by the Axis player off the east board edge. That's the east board edge. I mean, if the Germans have units leaving the map from the east board edge, or you're playing wrong, or the front broke down a long time ago. So you might as well give up, I suppose. Now, the Russian player wins immediately by controlling Berlin at any point. So you see it here. They don't have to kill Hitler. And the other way they win is if the Axis player does not match units exited by the Russians off the westboard edge. Here you see the westboard edge. You see southern Germany. You see Hungary. And you see also Romania. So there's a way of winning the game, exiting units off the opposite player's board edge. Now, there's also sudden death victory conditions. And these conditions are checked at the end of every January-February turn. And it depends on control of various cities, which I'm not going to go into the detail right now because time is pretty limited. But for example, I'm just going to give you an example. If at the end of the January-February turn in 1942, the objectives are Kiev, and you see Kiev there. If you control Kiev, Kalinin, Leningrad, Rostov, Kharkov, and Stalino, then you win the game. So you got to control all of them. So in each year, these change. Okay, so now this is the situation at the beginning of the game. And this is a game that is a double impulse game, which is important to point out because this is a game where you cannot put everything up front and defend the front line. And I just wanted to show you briefly, even though I did a setup video yesterday, that this is important. In the first impulse, there's 2 impulses per turn. In this game, you go twice. You go in the first impulse and the second impulse, and then your opponent goes. So that the Axis player goes first. And in the first impulse, the Axis player can move all units. And all units, if it's a clear weather turn, up to their full movement allowance. So for example, this unit here, it's a 3-5. The 3 is the combat factor, 5 is the movement allowance. So this unit on a clear weather turn can move up to 5 movement factors. Then if it's a light mud turn, it has units can move up to 4 movement factors. 2 in mud, and in snow movement is halved with fractions rounded up. Now, after the units move, you conduct combat, and combat in this game is mandatory if your unit or units are in enemy zones of control. So these are what they're called rigid zones of control. You move into a zone of control, you have to stop, and you have to attack all the units that you moved into their zones of control. Now, after combat is resolved in that first impulse, then you go, again, let's say the Germans conducted the first impulse, resolve combat. Now the Germans go to their second impulse. and they can move again. But now movement is dependent on weather and unit type. And you have, for example, that German Panzer units, like this one here, this Panzer Corps, can move 4 movement points in clear weather. And you have units like Panzer Grenadier units, they can move, you see there also 4. But German infantry units, like for example this unit, can move 2 hexes. And notice that when it says Axis there, it means Axis minor units. That's referring to Finns, Romanians, Hungarians, and Italians. Only Axis armored and motorized infantry units can move, and it's 2 movement factors, because there's certain units that cannot even move during the second impulse, like Axis infantry, mountain, and cavalry units. And Russian units, infantry, artillery, cavalry, and paratroopers cannot move also in that second impulse. And the Russian units that can move are the ones that are either in a lighter brown tone that you will see, or the Red Guard units. And those are the units specified there. And that is the most important feature of this game, because that is what is going to create the encirclements and cauldrons that characterize combat in the Russian front in World War II for both sides. So we have the game set up, and we have the units placed, the Soviet units in their military districts. At the beginning of the game, German units of various groups can only attack specific military districts. For example, the units that the Germans set up in Romania can only attack in the first impulse the Russian units in the Odessa military district. And then you have the units of Army Group South, which are those that have the S on the top left corner, can only attack the Soviet units that are in the Kiev military district. And let's see, here it is, Kiev military district. And I have them set up like pointing at where they're going to go. And I have also placed these magnets here because that's where the Stukas are going to be attacking. And then the units of Army Group Center that you see here, in the first impulse, they can only attack the Western military district. You see there. And notice that the military districts are like 2 hexes deep. So notice, and we'll talk about the Soviet deployment there, why they are deployed in that way. They're not all in the front line. And you have the units of Army Group North. They can only attack in the first impulse the Soviet forces in the Baltic military district. In addition, we have the Finns over here in Finland, and the Finns are pretty tricky. In the first turn, there is no river defense bonus. Normally in this game, if all attackers are on the same river, the defender is doubled on defense. So let's say if we had a situation like this in the first, in any other turn, the Soviet unit would have 10 combat factors, 4 against 10. But in the first turn of the game, and I think that is a very elegant way of simulating the surprise element of Operation Barbarossa, none of the Soviet units in the first turn, that means in the first and second impulse, during the first entire turn, they cannot take advantage of the river defense. They will not be doubled if all the attackers are on the same river. So that creates a situation for the Finns, because when you look at the Finns here, they're not super strong. See, they have a total of 13 combat factors. And in this game, it's pretty risky to attack at 2-to-1 odds. You have some chances of getting an A1 result, you lose a unit, or an exchange result, which you lose a unit. And for the Axis, losing units is a critical circumstance here, because the Axis gets replacements once a year. The Soviets get replacements every turn. And before we start, let me show you how they get replacements. on the board in certain major cities, you're going to see these worker units with a value. These worker units, in addition to adding to the defense of the hex, the number represents the number of combat factors that they contribute each turn by way of replacements. And there's a number of worker units that we see in Kiev, Kharkov, Stalino, and in Moscow, there's a 3-valued worker unit. They total 11 combat factors. So if the Germans don't start reaching these cities and destroying these worker units, it's going to be 11 combat factors that the Russians can bring back from their eliminated units. And there's an important distinction to be made between eliminated units, which are the ones that go here to the replacement pool and they return via the replacement mechanism, and surrendered units. In this game, in the combat table, there is a surrendered result, and the Axis at the beginning of the game is seeking to obtain as many surrenders and having lots of Soviet units surrender, because then they don't come back, and then it's tougher for the Russians to build up their losses if they have a lot of surrendered units. So here we have the spaces for Russian surrendered units and the replacement pool for eliminated units. There's also, later on, there's a die roll added to the factors of the worker units for the Archangel. For Archangel is a city which is near the Arctic Circle, and this represents the Lend-Lease aid by the Allies. You roll a die, and then you modify the die roll -1 in 1942, +1 in 1944, and the number, the final number, you add it to the replacement factors that the workers contribute. So here, replacements is all for the Russians. They will be able to replace their losses fairly quickly and easily. So the Germans won't. The Germans will get replacements, and I say the Germans, the Axis, once a year. And it's usually 1 unit of each type, and it's not very substantial. So you want to avoid losses, but then you have to take risks if you want to get dramatic results. So here we're going to start with the weather phase, and in the first turn of the game, the weather is clear. Here you see the turn record track, and you see that it is color-coded, and yellow means that it's a clear weather turn. Notice that the first turn of the game is turn number 1, of course. If you're playing with one of the options that presupposes that the Germans didn't have to go to rescue Mussolini, Greece didn't have to invade the Balkans, then they could start in March, April. But notice the color here, green, that is a variable weather turn. You roll on the weather table, and you may have a mud result, you may have light mud. So weather is variable in those turns where you have to roll for it, in those green turns. And when it is white, it is automatic snow. Now, snow turns in the first 2 winters, and let's suppose you don't get a winter result here. There's a possibility of a winter result in November, December. Let's suppose this is the first winter turn of the game. There's going to be some penalties in what is called combat supply for the Axis forces. They have to be adjacent to a city, friendly controlled city, basically, in order to have combat supply and be able to use their full combat factors. Otherwise, they are halved. And in the second winter, and let's suppose the second winter is triggered here, then in, where is it, turn 11, then that combat supply units are in combat supply if they're at least 2 hexes away from these cities. So it improves a little bit, but it's still pretty bad. And that only affects the Germans' Axis in the first 2 winters of the game. So we started with the weather phase. It's a clear weather turn, so we don't have to roll for weather. So now we start with the movement phase. So let's start from bottom to top. And here we see the situation in Romania. As stated before, the Axis units in Romania are Romanian and German units, and they can only attack into the Odessa military district. So let's say that these 3 units move as so, as you see there. Let's get a close-up. Okay, so here we see. So they have to stop. And if nothing else happens, the unit that you see here would have to attack this unit mandatorily. But we're going to bring other Axis units. So these 3 units that you see on the screen, the first 2 are going to move there. Stacking is up to 3 cores. And the German units are all cores. The Russians have army units, like you see there at the left, the 9th Army. The Russians can stack 2 armies, or 1 army and 1 corps, or 3 corps. But if there's an army involved in the hex, it's just up to 2. So that's the movement here in the Romania sector. The other unit is going to stay put there. And now let's move the units of Army Group South. And these units they can only attack the Kiev military district. And we're going to bring the Stuka later here against this unit. So what they will be doing is moving. I think the Stuka, actually, I misplaced that, but let's start moving them. Okay, we're going to move the 6-7 Corps there. We're going to move this other stack here. And this other stack with a Panzer Corps there. Okay. Now, if we take a look here, we have a total of 9 combat factors. So we're going to move this particular mountain unit that is to the south here. Let's see if I can put it on the screen. This is 9 combat factors. This would be 1-to-1. Here we have 15 plus 15, 30. That is 6-to-1. Okay. So we need just 1 more to get to 2-to-1. So we're going to move this mountain unit. It's going to move to that hex there, and it's going to join in the attack. Okay. Now, let's take a look at the units. I don't think we're going to move anything else in the first impulse. That's the movement by Army Group South. Now, Army Group Center can only attack the Western Military District. And there's a very important game mechanic in this game called the automatic victory. Did I code the edges of the counters? No, I didn't. I just clipped them. My program changes a little bit the colors, so I'm not. The map is a little bit greener than you see the clear hexes. Okay, so now we're going to move Army Group Center, and the automatic victory mechanic is important because if you, during the movement phase, achieve 10-to-1 odds against a particular stack or unit in a hex, enemy unit, that unit is eliminated during the movement phase, and then you can continue moving over that hex. And we're going to do that with that unit there that you see, that 3-3 in Brest. Brest is a minor city. It doesn't provide any benefit like a doubling defense like a major city would. So what we will do is we will move this stack of 2 infantry units, totaling 8 combat factors there. And now we move this stack here, the 6-7. And now we have 8, 14, plus 7, 21. That's a 7-to-1. 7-to-1 is not enough for automatic victory. But if we use one of our Stukas, and here you have the Stukas there, if we use one of those, that increases the odds by 3. So it would be from 7-to-1. It would increase to 10 to 1. So we're going to place one of the Stukas there. Okay, we'll put it on top. So there we have it. So now it is 10 to 1. We reached it with the Stuka. So now that Stuka is used for the turn. And what we do is we return the Stuka to the Stuka pool, but we place it on its unavailable side. And this is an automatic victory. And we mark that hex with this marker that you see there. Okay. Now, I like to also, these units cannot move adjacent to an enemy unit nor attack in the second impulse. And I like to mark them also. So what I like to do, make sure that I don't use them in an attack in the second impulse. I like to flip them to their back sides, just to signify that. So we'll do that. There we go. But now let's see what happens now. The unit that got eliminated, which is the 3-3, goes to the Russian surrendered units box. So that unit will not return to play. Units that are eliminated through automatic victory are surrendered. And now the Germans, they're going to bring units to also AV that cavalry unit that you see there. So that is a unit that defends with 2. So we have to have 20 combat factors for a 10 to 1, unless we want to use another Stuka, but we don't want to use another Stuka. So we need 20 combat factors. So here we have an 8 plus 8, 16, plus 4, 20. And the slowest unit in the stack is the infantry. So it moves 1, 2, and 3 into the AV hex. And now we've achieved 10 to 1 odds against that Soviet cavalry. So that Soviet cavalry now is also eliminated through automatic victory. Notice that woods in this game do not have an effect on defense values. They don't get doubled or anything like in mountains. So that unit also goes to the Soviet surrendered unit pool. So now we have a hole there. And now let's flip these units here to their back sides and make sure that we also do not place them adjacent. They don't move adjacent to any Russian units in the second impulse. And now there's a gap in the lines. And Army Group Center still has some units that it can move. And it would be nice if we could, for example, surround this unit here, this 5-3. So we're going to have this, oh, I'm not showing you the unit. Let's, there you go. It would be nice if this 3-4, we could have this 5-3 surrounded. So let's move that stack, that 3-4 stack forward. And now that stack has 6 plus 4, 10. That's 2 to 1. And here we have 10 also. So this particular stack with the 6-4 is going to move 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now notice, by moving in that way, you surround this unit. Now, units in woods, like this one, if they obtain a retreat result, they don't have to retreat. So you will see attacks by this stack here and this stack here. And the Germans are going to take some chances. They want to create a big hole in order to exploit in that second impulse. So the Germans still have this 7-7 here. So let's see what options they have. They can move it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, No, they can't move here. They would have to stop on the 4th. So they will move 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that unit will join in there. And the Germans have also this stack of units. They can move 4. So these will move 1, 2, 3, and 4 here. So that's the movement by Army Group Center. Army Group Center is the most substantial of the Army groups. So we will see the attacks coming up soon. Now we still have, notice that none of these units here on this side were attacked, because you want to create that hole and create some problems, but you have to eliminate a steady number of consistent number of Russian units every turn so that they don't come back to haunt you. Now here we have Army Group North, and they're in a tight spot here, not a lot of space. This is a strong unit, a 6-3, but we're going to bring a Stuka there. So we're going to have first the stack with the 8-7, which is really that unit and 2 infantry corps totaling 15 combat factors. That unit is going to move forward to attack that 5-3. And then we have this other stack here. This stack has a total of 10, 13. That stack will move here. And we still have 2 units that if they move here, we would have to attack that unit, and we can't, because that unit can only be attacked by units of Army Group Center. So we'll just have these 2 units move forward 2 spaces. And note that headquarters can only move in the second impulse. And we're going to bring a Stuka, our second Stuka, to that 6-3 there. Okay, so I think we only have the Finnish front to take care of. The Finnish front is tricky because this is the only turn where those rivers are not going to be helpful to the Russians. And the Finns, they're going to take the chance. They're going to try to make a 2-to-1 attack on one of those Russian units there. So what the Finns will be doing is they have here a total of 5 plus 4, 9. So they'll move this stack. If they move this stack here, they run the risk of being cut out of supply. So, but they'll take the chance anyway. So they'll move the stack there, and they're going to do this in order to not be cut off of supply. And this unit will be doing what's called a soak-off attack. So that's an attack that allows this unit to attack here. So this is pretty risky for the Finns, but if it is successful, it could create a headache for the Soviets, because then they'll have to actually send more units to the Finnish front. Okay, so now we only have 1 Stuka left to place on the map. And I had, for some reason, marked this unit, but we're not attacking that unit. So the Stuka will be placed here on this 5-3. There you go. There you go. Okay, so we're going to resolve the combats. You can resolve the combats if you're the Axis player in any order that you want. I'll start from the south to the top. So here is the situation. We have these 3 corps that you see there, and I'm looking for my pointer. Okay, here it is. These 3 units will attack here. So that's 3-to-1, and then we'll have these 3 attack here. The game includes these odds markers, which they're all right, but they don't cover all the odds, because as you will see here, the combat results table, for example, a 5-to-1 attack is the same as a 6-to-1. So just bear that in mind. So that is a 3-to-1 attack. So we will mark the column here. And you have results ranging from attacker elimination, attacker loses a unit and retreat, attacker retreats. You have contact, where units stay put. Exchange, both sides lose a unit, the defender retreats, defender loses a unit and retreats, defender eliminated, and defender surrenders. So this is a 3-to-1 attack. So we roll 1d6, and the result is a 4, DR. Okay, so defender retreats. Okay, so the defender retreats, and in this game, the attacker always retreating units. If it's attacker retreats, the attacker retreats his units. If it's a defender retreats, the attacker retreats the defending units. And the units are retreated 1 or 2 hexes. So here's a chance now to create a hole. So the unit will be retreated 1 hex and then another hex into Odessa in order to create like a hole here. Oops, sorry, there you go. And there's no advance after combat in this game. Remember, there's a second impulse coming up, and some of those units will be able to move. So that is the combat situation there. Now we go to the next combat situation. The defense is 3. Notice that the river defense bonus doesn't apply in the first turn. Otherwise, Russian units would have been doubled. Here it's 7 plus 4, 11 to 3. That is a 3-to-1 attack. So we locate the 3-to-1 column again, and we roll 1d6. And it's a 5, D1. Defender loses 1 and retreats surviving, and the surviving units are retreated. But in this particular case, there's only 1 unit. So this unit is eliminated, and it goes to the Russian replacement pool. And here's the Russian replacement pool. So we place it here. That unit can return to the game later on. So we see the situation in the Romanian sector there. So both attacks were relatively successful. The only 2 attacks made. Now we move to Army Group South's sector there. And we have here the situation. We have this stack. The Russian unit is a 5. We have 9, 14. It's 14, right? 9, 14. So it's 2-to-1. But we have the Stuka, and that increases the odds by 3 to 5-to-1. So we locate the 5-to-1 column, which again is the same as 6-to-1. Now we have a chance of a surrendered result and 2 chances of a defender eliminated result. But the dreaded result really for us is that number 1, the exchange result. So if you're the Axis player, you don't want a 1 to come up. So you roll the die, and the result is a 5, defender eliminated. So now we take there we remove the Stuka, return it to the unavailable box, and now we eliminate the defender. Okay, and that's that attack. So that defender eliminated goes to the replacement pool. So now we move to the next attack, and the next attack won't have any Stuka support. We have these 2 stacks attacking there. We have 15 plus 15, 30. Between 5, that's a 6-to-1 attack. So here we go. We locate the same column again, 6-to-1, and roll 1d6. And a 5, defender eliminated. So again, another elimination. So that 5-3 is gone. Okay, it goes to the Russian replacement pool. Now let's keep on searching for the next combat situation. We saw the AV, there's no combat there. We see the army that is surrounded here in the Western Military District by Army Group Center units, and we have this attack here. Now this is tricky because you don't want one of these armored units attacking by itself. On a 2-to-1, you get an exchange, that armored core is gone. So you want to have infantry attacking there. So these 2 units will attack here, and this unit will attack together with these two units. Let's see what the odds would be. Here it would be 3-1, and here it would be 10, 16, also 3-1. So it would be two 3-1 attacks. So we'll take that. Now, let's resolve first this 3-1 attack here in against that 3-5. So we locate the 3-1 column, and here we go. We don't want to get the exchange, but here we go. Ooh, 5, and it's D1. That's like a defender eliminated because there's only one unit in the hex. If there would have been more than one unit, the surviving unit would retreat. So this unit, the defending unit, is eliminated. Okay? So now we go and look at the convenience of having large hexes. You can do the things, you can accommodate the units like I'm accommodating them here for attacks, and they fit very comfortably. So now we go to the other attack, which we also stated was a 3-1. But notice now that the Russians, if forced to retreat, they get a DR, they don't have to retreat. It will be like a contact result. So we locate the 3-1 column, roll 1d6, and 5, a D1. So we're rolling very well. Can't complain about that. So that unit is eliminated. It goes to the replacement pool. It can return later. So that's that for that unit. Now we move to the attacks by Army Group North. And let's resolve first the stack with the 8-7 that you see there. It has 12, 15. Notice intentionally we always have a weak unit in case we get an exchange. We lose that weak unit. 15-5. Again, 3-1. 3-1 attack. Here we go. 3-1 attack, and that is a 4. Defender retreats, right? Let me see. 3-1, 4. Defender retreats. So now we retreat that unit 2 hexes. Okay. So we'll just try to bury it there in the Courland Peninsula. 1 and 2 to try to get it out of the way. Okay, and that's it. Now we resolve the attack with the Stuka. The unit defends with 6. And we have 10, 13. That's 2-1, but because we have the Stuka, the attack becomes a 5-1 attack. So we locate that column here. And a 5-1, let me put this in screen better. In a 5-1 situation, we have a 1 in 6 chance for a defender surrendered and 2 defender eliminated results. So here we go. And we get our defender surrenders. So that unit surrenders, and that's a nice surrendered result because that is a strong 6-3 unit. And it won't return to the game. So he returned the Stuka, and the 6-3 unit goes to the surrendered box. So that's the end of the combat phase of the first impulse. Okay. So here we see the situation at the end of the first impulse. We see a gap having been created here between Minsk and Kaunas. See this gap here? Fortunately for the Russians, there's woods terrain here. Here, the panzers would have to stop upon entering the woods. Infantry could continue, but now the movement for infantry in the second impulse is just 2 hexes. But there's still a gap. The gap is protected, actually, believe it or not, by this cavalry unit. So let me place this unit here. And we have some automatic victory units down here that cannot move adjacent to Russian units. So we have to bear that in mind. Here in the Kiev sector, the Russians still form a line, and what you see here now is that the Germans will probably be attacking these units in the second impulse. And further south here, there is a hole there in the forces in the Soviet line there to the north of Odessa. So now we go to our second impulse movement phase. And here is that we will interrupt this part to give away the first game of the night. Okay. Stalin is getting nervous, says Joe. Okay. Okay, so let's put the game here back on the, been on it for almost an hour. So man, time flies. So we have the game here. So let's place the screen here, just a second. Okay, share screen. And let's see. Oh, no, that's for the other. Let's see if I can find it. I can find it. Okay, that's the second one. Just a second, guys. Okay, I just have to find StreamYard. Okay, StreamYard. Okay, stop. Go again. That's the problem. I'm having two giveaways. Yeah, got to identify them. So the giveaway tool must be this one. Wing. Okay, Wing. So we have our window there for Wing. Let me increase it in size so we can see how many entries we have. We have 19 entries. So good luck. And here comes the first draw of the night. Let's see who gets Wing. Wing leader, victories 1940-42, and the winner is Michael Mellon. Congratulations, Michael. You know the drill. Send an email to stukajoe@gmail.com with your mailing address and your handle. I publish, I will give you a confirmation code, which is one word. You write it in the comments section, and then the game is on your way. I'll be sending the game over tomorrow. So congratulations to Michael Mellon. So we have our first winner of the night, and Wing leader is going Michael's way. Okay, so now let's go to the second impulse. Let's see the Romanians here. Now the Romanians don't move at all in the second impulse except that mechanized core, and the mechanized core can move 2 hexes, just like a German infantry unit. So we want to maintain a line, but we want to be able to exploit the line. So let me get here. This unit can move 2 spaces. Now, if we place the unit adjacent to this space, they will have to attack, and these units are doubled in defense because that's a major city. One nice touch of the newer edition is that major cities have this border in yellow. So you can distinguish them from minor cities, which the border is white and have no defense bonus. Yellow cities double the defense of the units. So we'll have the Romanian unit moving 2 hexes here. And we'll have the German unit following behind. So it'll move 1 and 2. Then in this stack, we have all but two units can move in the second impulse, which is good. So we have the German units moving 2. So we have the first of the German cores. And we have the one here in the bottom will also follow. So it moves 1 and it moves 2. Now, neither of these units can move. As we stated, you saw they are units that can't move in the second impulse. So we have a steady line there. We have zones of control. The Russians are locked up in Odessa, and they have a hole to protect. And the good thing is we're establishing zones of control on these rail lines. The Russians, one thing I didn't talk about, rail movement is important. The Russians can always move, irrespective of weather, 5 units per turn by rail. So they have a rail capacity of 5 units, and then all the replacements that enter the game and reinforcements also move for free by rail. So rail movement is critical. Now, rail movement for the Soviets will leave them here. So they'll still not be able to cover these hexes, which will force the Odessa garrison to do so and weaken itself in order to maintain a coherent line. So that's that there. Now we have to go to the second impulse here. And I don't see a lot of chances of surrounding anything, but we have this tough Russian unit, but it's not doubled in defense. This unit can be disposed of with 20 combat factors. There's 15 here. So let's have this unit here, this 5. We'll move 1 and 2 here. Okay, and now we only need 15 combat factors to get an AV there. So we're going to move this stack there. So that is 20 to 10. That's automatic victory there. So we place that. We do that right now. And that's another unit that won't return to the game, that goes to the surrendered units box. There's 4 already in this turn. And now we have these units did automatic victory. So I'll just flip them just to not move them again this turn and not confuse them with these units, which can move but cannot move adjacent. Now we still have these units, and they will be attacking. So we have this stack will move here, and this other stack will move up front here. Now the headquarters, they can move in the second impulse. So we're going to advance the 1-7 here. Headquarters will be advanced right behind the, how do you say, the units that are advancing. So that's the second impulse movement. Now we go to the units here, which are the ones, these 3 did automatic victories in the first impulse, so they can move, but they cannot move adjacent to any of the units. So I'll try to remember that. So I'll just flip them. And not all units can move. You see these Italians here, they can't move at all in this impulse. So this unit moves 4. I'll just pick it up and say 1, 2, 3, and it has to stop here 4. This other unit can move up to 4 in the second impulse. So 1, 2, 3, it moves there 4 because it can't move adjacent to any of the units. Now we want to place an infantry unit here. We don't want to leave the tanks alone. So we'll move this one 2 here. We still have some units that did AVs that they cannot move adjacent to Russian units. So we'll have 1, 2. Infantry units don't have to stop when they enter forests. And we have this one, 1, 2. And where's the Italians? Okay, the Italians making a mess here. The Italians are going to stay here. And we have a tank unit. We'll move that one last. Okay, we have this one. This one can move 2. 1, 2. Notice I don't move them to the swamp. The swamp here, it's 1 movement. It's 1 hex per turn. So you really get stuck in the swamp. Only in snow turns, this you can move as it was clear. And we have 4 movement points with the tank. 1, 2, 3. We can't move here. This would be overstacked. So the tank goes here. The Panzer goes here. Now the other units, they can move their regular second impulse movement allowance. So this tank unit will do 1 and 2. And we'll move, this tank unit will move 1 and 2 here. And this other tank unit will do the same. So it will be 1 and 2 here. Okay. And now we have to see what we're going to do down here with these 2 units, because it's a good chance to eliminate both of them. So let's move that 3-4 stack forward. And now in the second impulse, remember, we don't have the limitations of attacking districts that we had in the first impulse. So that's important. So we'll see if we can AV this this unit here. Well, we would need 20, and the Stukas don't show up in the second impulse. So we could have 15 here, but there's no 5-4 with Army Group North, so we won't be able to AV this unit because we can only attack from 1 hex. So what we will do is we'll move this stack forward, and this one can move 2. So there we go. That's the movement for the second phase. And now I recall I forgot to resolve the combat situation for the Finns. So let's do that now. Okay, this is supposed to be the first impulse for the Finns, and I forgot to resolve the combat situation. So let's do that now. First, we'll start with the attack here, the main attack, where we have 9 versus 4. So that's 2 to 1. It's pretty risky, but if successful, it will force the Russians to send units there. So let's go to the 2 to 1 attack here. Note it and look at the columns there. There's a A1 is bad, AR, well, it's a retreat, not that bad. Exchange is bad too. So here we go, 1d6, 2-1 attack, and it is 2. Attacker retreats. Now in this game, because the attacker retreats the units, there's going to be situations where you can retreat the units and they can actually advance because you don't have to retreat them towards supply sources. Now in this particular situation, we cannot retreat here because this is a zone of control. So we can retreat 1 or 2 hexes. So we will retreat 1 hex here, and this one was attacking 2. So it retreats there. And now we have what we call the soak-off attack, and that's 4 to 5. So that would be, in this game, a 1 to 2 attack. So 1 to 2 attack, which is a pretty risky attack. You see there's even an AE and an A1. It's an elimination for that unit. So here we go. We roll 1d6. And luckily, it's a 6. Well, luckily, no, because it's an exchange. But the Russian unit is gone. So instead of eliminating the intended unit, which was the 4-3, the Finns end up eliminating the unit that is in front of Leningrad, the 5-3. But we also lose the Finns. And so we place the unit in the Russian replacement pool. Place the Russian unit there. And there's 6 units now there. And we place the eliminated Axis unit in the Axis replacement pool. And here it is. And next year, in the first turn of the year, the Axis can always return 1 unit from each of the Axis minors. So that unit will return. It's worse if you lose 2 units, more than 1 unit. So that's the result in the first impulse. The Finns cannot move in the second impulse, so they're going to stay as they are there. Okay, so now we resolve combat in the second impulse. We see there's nothing to resolve here in what do you say, in Romania. We have an attack here, 2 attacks, actually. So we have the attack on the 6-3 and a 3-5. So let's see how we can split it up. We can have units from here attacking another hex. They don't have to attack the same hex. We have 7 about now? Check. Now I have sound. Damn it. How long was I without sound? Any of you guys? 10 minutes. I'm sorry, guys. Shit. I gotta find a way of getting the battery light. Okay, I apologize. So, and I got 50 people. This is a record. No sound, and people keep showing up. Well, this is crazy. Oh, it's because of the game? Okay. 20 minutes without sound. Jesus Christ. Oh, boy, I'm sorry about that. I'll have to do something. I'll have to put that. It's a little receiver, which I have down there. And apparently the battery of the transmitter died. They sell it like it lasts 7 hours. Doesn't last 7 hours. So I'm sorry to say. Okay, so you got a nice siesta. We have 51 people. So let's do the giveaway. And what can I tell you? These are the perils of live broadcasting. So let's stop the screen. Let's look for the screen of the giveaway. And it should be this one. Let me see the one that says tank. There it is. Okay. So now I have to locate where that is. Okay. I don't have any entries on tank for some reason. Okay, just a second. We'll do that. Giveaway tool. And let's collect those. Hashtag tank. Start collecting comments. 9 entries, only 9 entries for tank. Is that correct? That's what it says there. 12 entries. Okay, I'm going to leave it open for like 20 more seconds. 13 entries to tank. Okay. Tank, everybody tank. Hashtag tank, hashtag tank. Okay. Man, 20 minutes not talking. I got to do something. Got to paste that thing somewhere. Man, you guys stuck it out. I would have bailed out like in a minute. Okay. So let's share the screen. We've shared the screen. Okay, guys, so we have, let's get the screen again because I have share screen, giveaway tool. There it is. 17. Okay, guys, here we go. Let's see who wins. Tank on tank. Good luck, guys. And the winner is St. Louis Keith. St. Louis Keith. So congratulations. And you know the drill. Send me an email at stukajoe@gmail.com with your handle, St. Louis Keith, and your postal address. I'll send you an email with a confirmation code. And I have to do that so that it's this St. Louis Keith that wins the game and not somebody pretending to be St. Louis Keith, okay? I have to do it that way. It's the way I can ensure myself. So sorry about the mute part, the Charlie Chaplin here for 20 minutes. I promise I'll do something about it because it's not the first time these microphones, they sound terrific. Just the battery just bails out on you. So what's coming up next for the channel? I still have back there this is the Assault on Gallipoli. I have to film turns 3, 4, and 5. And next week, and I'm going to leave it as a surprise, there's a battle, World War II battle, where the Germans were involved, which is one of my favorites. I've stated, which is not Stalingrad, which there's a brand new, spanking new game coming out. And I'm not going to say it because nobody else knows about it here, around here. So, and I'm going to be showing you that game, and I'm going to give away a copy of that game. It's supposed to arrive in the mail this week, and it's one that I've been waiting for some time. So I hope you like it, and I want to thank you all you guys for showing up. 53 people, man. And the next game that I'll give out in that one, in addition to that game, will be a substantial game, and that's an appreciation for you guys sticking it out for 20, 30 minutes without any sound, and you're still there. Man, that really breaks my heart, and it feels really appreciated when you're just looking at images with nothing else, and you're still there. You're hoping that I'll fix the problem. So I want to thank you all. So I'll leave you all with the outro here. And as I always say, this is Stuka Joe signing off for now. Thanks for watching, guys.